How many of you have taken a course on Coursera or edX or any of these MOOC platforms? Fantastic. We are taking that exact same model of massive open online courses and creating content for high school kids in the local languages in India. We're starting with India, but we are creating the platform in a way that it's completely leverageable in any language, in any low-income part of the world. And what is our ally in this entire venture? Is this thing called the smartphone. Did you know that there are millions of children today, high school students, who have access to a smartphone, but don't have access to a toilet, or don't have access to even basic education? What we are doing is we first started with creating content for them on YouTube, and we don't believe that Harvard professors and people here can presume to teach these really wise ancient cultures. So we picked the best students from the local community.
It's the technology stack for Turn the Bus. We have a mobile app, which is essentially the implementation of mobile open source edX, because that's also a nonprofit. There's also a web app version for the same content, which is accessible to the folks who have access to computers, but our primary tourist is on mobile phones because of its deep rural access. The teacher-facing side of the open source edX is learning management system. This is where the volunteering teachers can go and upload their videos and create those modulated lesson plans which students can access from the mobile app. We also have a virtual learning assistant, which is essentially a chatbot. This is also students facing. This is something where students can come in and ask questions like, what was asked in last year's Sanskrit examination paper? And the chatbot will come back with a list of all of the questions that were asked in the exam paper. So very handy.
Tool we have created during this hackathon is implemented off of open source Tesseract OCR. We have used one of the available UIs from internet and implemented Hindi language character recognition. This PDF page is from a Hindi textbook, which we will now transcribe in Hindi by choosing OCR language of Hindi. This editable text will now power the knowledge base for chatbot and Azure Search. On the screen now is an implementation of open source version of edX, which has been customized to create Hindi lesson plans based on high school kids' curriculum. This girl is one of the meritorious kids and has now moved on to a college, but she has volunteered to come back and teach the kids in her community. This open source edX implementation was done during one of the previous hackathons, but it integrates well with what we are building now. Another tool that we created during this hackathon is a Q&A maker. This is the knowledge base. We have created a bank of questions and answers for demo purpose. The chatbot will provide a response based on the question that we ask of it. The idea is to implement this chatbot within the edX platform so that the students have access to all that they need in one place. One more tool that we've implemented during this hackathon is Azure Cognitive Search. The plan is to also expose the knowledge base to students and enable them to run cognitive search on this data. So for example, we have some knowledge bank here, and if I take a keyword, Sheetyuth, which is Hindi for Cold War, and search for it, it will yield all Hindi text which is relevant to this word. So those are the tools that we have built during this hackathon.